Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Atlanta Music Project's The College Years virtual symposium for high school students thinking about studying music in college. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Aisha Moody, and I am the co-founder and chief program officer of the Atlanta Music Project. I'll be your moderator for this panel, which is Audition 101, How to Nail Your Voice Audition. Now, for those who are meeting us for the first time, the Atlanta Music Project was founded in 2010 with the mission to empower underserved youth to realize their possibilities through music. We serve 350 students here in Atlanta each year through our various after-school band, orchestra, and choir programs. We also run 2 youth orchestras, 2 youth choirs, provide private lessons, and run an annual summer music festival and school called the AMP Summer Series. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, the Atlanta Music Project has produced a lot of online content, including masterclasses, panel discussions, and podcasts. The content is all free and open to the public, and we invite you to access it through our website, atlantamusicproject.org, or through our YouTube channel. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Chestnut Family Foundation for their support of our College Years virtual symposium and all of our online content. Now, this event is streaming live on our Atlanta Music Project Facebook page in just a few minutes, so please feel free to share this live video on your Facebook timeline. Throughout this symposium, we will leave time for questions at the end of each panel, but if you have questions at any time, go ahead and put it in the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to address as many as we can. And now, on with the show. Let's meet today's special guest, Miss Hanan Davis. A native of Atlanta, Georgia, Hanan Asila Davis holds a bachelor's degree from Spelman College and a Master of Music and Vocal Performance from Ohio State University. Throughout her career, she has performed as a soloist on stages nationwide, performing such works as Vivaldi's Gloria and Mozart's Requiem, and also as a chorus member with Opera Columbus. She is currently an adjunct professor of voice at Spelman College and a member of the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra and Chamber Choruses and the Atlanta Opera Chorus. Hanan joined the AMP faculty in 2017 as an AMP Academy voice teaching artist. We're very happy to have Hanan with us. Hi, Hanan. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here today. We're really happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited about today's panel, and I want to talk about auditions first. Just why they're important. Auditions allow us an opportunity to give a first impression to faculty members, in this case, since we're talking about college auditions, so that we can let them know who we are artistically and professionally. And having a great audition can influence getting into the school of your choice, getting scholarship money, and also some job opportunities while you're in school so that you can build your resume. So with that in mind, let us go ahead and get started. So, you're thinking about majoring in vocal music. So let me help you. As Ms. Aisha has said, I work at Spelman College. I also work at Clark Atlanta and Agnes Scott. So I have been working with college auditions for the past 4 or 5 years. So I know what it's like to be on the adjudicating side of the audition process. And I can tell you exactly what it is that we're looking for in our students, in our prospective students. So let's move to the components of an audition. Generally, each college audition has 3 components. The first is performing the prepared vocal pieces that you will find on the website, usually, of the schools that you're auditioning for. The second component is conversing with the music faculty. And the last component is sight singing. So let's go ahead and get into picking your vocal repertoire. More likely than not, the school that you choose to go to on their website, as I mentioned before, will have guidelines for what they want you to sing. They won't necessarily tell you specifically what song, what can happen in all-state chorus. For those who auditioned this past semester in all-state chorus, if you're in a certain group, you have to sing this one song. well, yeah, you have to sing this particular song. That's not the case for college auditions. They will give you a range. So they may say 2 contrasting pieces, and that's all you have to work with. When they say 2 contrasting pieces, they want something that shows different sides of you. So maybe you have one song selection that is upbeat, it's happy, it's lively. It can show that your voice moves. And then you have another piece that is a little bit more emotional, takes a lot more performance of the face and of the body. So that's what they're talking about with 2 contrasting pieces. There are some schools that will be more specific. So they'll say, we want a song in English, and then we want a song in a different language. Usually those different languages are Italian, German, and French. But fortunately for you, AMP gives you what you need. So you will have at least attempted Italian before you graduate from AMP. So that's always good. If you are choosing to audition for a conservatory or a school of music, you may be required to do a pre-screening video before you actually do a live audition. So I want to take this time to talk about what is a conservatory or a school of music, and how does it differ from a music department. It depends on how much you want to study music. So a conservatory is where it is focused on training you to be artists. They are giving you real world experience. So 70 to 80% of your college program will be all about music. And that's not a bad thing. It's actually amazing. You're always going to be, well, more than likely, you're going to be in classes, in smaller classes with students who are studying music. So you're around people who understand what it takes and what you need to do. You are going to be pushed. It is a good kind of competition. So you'll really get to see what it's like in the job market. And finally, your degree will be a Bachelor of Music. So it's very concentrated in music. In a school of music or a music department, you have the option of a different kind of degree. So in the School of Music, quite often you can choose a Bachelor of Music, which is concentrated more on music, or you can choose a Bachelor of Arts, which allows you about 50% of your degree will be in music, but then you get to sample a lot of different other areas in the college. So you can take a lot more science classes or math classes or psychology, physical ed. You can do a lot more with the Bachelor of Arts in music than, in other areas than you can with a Bachelor of Music, which is a lot more concentrated. And for the music department, usually they just offer the Bachelor of Arts. Usually these are the liberal arts colleges. So they want you to taste each area of education that the school has to offer. So when I say conservatory, those are people who know going in, I know that I want to be a musician. I want to be on stage. I want to, this is how I want to make my living. Not everybody knows that when they graduate from high school, which is why you have these different programs. And if you don't know, that's okay. You have time, so you'll be fine. All right, so back to the script. When you choose your pieces, your 2 contrasting pieces, you want to consult your vocal teacher. That's why he or she is there. They have been through this process before. They have trained, they have studied, they have gotten various degrees in music. So they know what it is from a student's perspective to audition, and what it is on the faculty side that they're looking for. Also, make sure that you bring your sheet music with you in a binder. Black is the industry standard, so do that. And make sure that it is legible. Make sure that someone can read it. So you want to make sure that there's no cutoffs at the bottom, that the accompanist who's usually provided by the department or the School of Music that you're auditioning for, they can read it easily. Because quite often that you're going to meet them the day of your audition, and they need to be able to move through a lot of different people at a pretty fast pace. But they want to make sure that they give you what it is that you need. And they can only give you what it is that you need if they can read what your music is saying. So even if you send it in before, just go ahead and bring an extra copy. I love to be safer than sorry. Once in my own personal audition, I did not have an extra copy of my music. And fortunately for me, the accompanist I was working with, we had worked so much together that he was able to bail me out. But after that, I vowed, never again. I'm going to have extra music at all times. And I still do. All right. So let's move to the next part of our conversation, which actually talks about conversation. Conversing with the music faculty. We want to know, can you hold a conversation about yourself, about music, about your dreams? This gives us, this is more for a personal view of you. We only get to see you for 5 to 15 minutes. So we're trying to know as much as we can about you, learn as much as we can so that we can make a better decision, a more accurate decision about whether you fit for this program or not. So talking with the faculty allows you to let them have a glimpse of who you are as a student, as an artist. And sometimes, yes, talking with faculty can be nerve-wracking, but we get that. We understand it. We're human. Sometimes when we're going up for job interviews or auditions, we still get nervous too, and that's okay. Just take a deep breath, woosah, and show us who you are. If you are a bubbly person, we want to see that. If you are a more composed person, we want to see that. It doesn't mean that you have to be someone who you're not. But we do want to see as much of who you are as a genuine person and who you are as an artist as possible. So some of the questions that faculty may ask you could be, why do you want to study music? How long have you been singing? Who have you studied with? What are your future musical plans? What kind of music do you like to sing? Those are standard questions, and you should be thinking about them before your audition. A lot of people forget about that part, that, oh, wait, faculty may ask me questions, and then they get a little tongue-tied or confused in the moment because of the nerves. So I want you to make sure that at least those 5 questions that I just mentioned, you've thought about before going in. That way, even if you are flustered, you know, hold on, I've answered this question before. I got this. And then you'll be able to move on a little bit less interrupted. And for the musical plans, I had an addendum there. You may not know exactly what you want to do with music. And again, I stress that that is okay. The reason why you come to college is to learn. So you may not know exactly what capacity you want to use your voice, but you want to explore what the department has to offer, what the school or the conservatory has to offer. So just let the faculty know, I'm not exactly sure, but I've thought about, this idea, or maybe you thought about a whole lot of ideas. Maybe you want to be a singer, a songwriter, composer, performer, teacher. Maybe you're saying, I want to come here to figure out what is it that I really want to do. I want to narrow down my interests and see where my talents lead me. So that too is a good response. All right. And now we move to the third part of the audition process, which is sight singing. Yes, we want to hear you sight sing. Sight singing is a skill that is very important to vocal musicians. Well, all musicians, but for sure, vocal musicians. It helps to cut down on rehearsal time, on wasted rehearsal time, and it helps us to maximize your performance potential. And that's what we want to do. We want to get to the next level. We're always trying to get to the next level. So that's why sight singing is important. I understand that not everybody knows how to sight sing well. Even sometimes if you are exposed to it in high school, sometimes it just doesn't click. Just because you don't know how to sight sing does not mean that you are now completely ineligible for the program, unless that program specifically says you are ineligible if you cannot sight sing. Again, we are a college, we're institutions of learning, of higher learning. So we want to see where you are. And hopefully, if you come in without any knowledge of sight singing, when you leave, you should be able to sight sing. So we want to see how you process some of these things. Yeah, just to assess your skill level. But also, remember, we're not just looking at sight singing. We're looking at the whole picture. We're looking at your what music you've studied before. We're listening to how you sing. We're looking at how you perform. We're looking at your grades. We're looking at how you test. We look at a lot, not just we don't just focus on one part of your audition that you don't feel as secure about. So don't feel bad if you've been trying to sight sing and, it's taking a little time. But what I do want you to know is that AMP does provide lots of opportunities for you to learn how to sight sing. If you go on the AMP YouTube page, there are a lot of different videos that help you learn how to sight sing. And they could also give you resources for how that, to make that happen. For conservatories and schools of music, the programs are a little bit more competitive. So if you don't know how to sight sing and you're looking at a conservatory, you're going to want to start to drill sight singing examples, because that really could be the difference between you getting in or not getting in, or getting a scholarship and not getting a scholarship. So you want to make yourself as competitive as you can. So again, look on the AMP YouTube page and brush up on those sight singing skills. All right, let us move to the next slide, which is about practicing for an audition. So I would recommend, when you figure out what it is that that you need to sing with your voice teacher based on the requirements of the school or schools that you want to audition for, practice the songs like you regularly would practice the songs. Yes, if it's a new song, however it is that you would regularly practice a new song. If it's a song that you're familiar with, however, whatever is normal for you, or revisiting or refreshing that material. I do that until about 3 weeks out from the audition. At that point, in my opinion, you should be practicing between 3 and 4 times a week for between 20 and 30 minutes, because you want to really get that music into your system. When you practice, I recommend going straight through your pieces a few times before going back and fixing some of the mistakes. I say this because in auditions, even sometimes when we're super, super prepared, sometimes our nerves just get the best of us. Sometimes we take in a breath and you took in too much breath and now you're accidentally choking on breath, and because life happens. So you want to be able to sing through with your mistakes to see, okay, how can I recover from that mistake? Can I get back on? Can I keep on going? Can I push through? Because recovery is just as important as your preparation for the performance. It's actually a part of the performance, because you never know who's going to be in your audience, what loud sound, what baby may be crying, what person may be coughing. You've got to make sure that you're focused. What if you trip and fall? The show goes on. So recovery is important. So practice recovery. Now, these practices don't all need to be singing based. What do I mean by that? You can practice speaking in front of a mirror just speaking your words, looking at your face, emoting, like, okay, is my face actually portraying what it is that I'm saying? The worst thing for me as an adjudicator of auditions is to see a singer who is singing beautifully but has no kind of personal connection to what he or she is singing. For me, I'm not inspired by that. When you sing, I want to be inspired. I want to feel something. I want to feel happy if you're feeling happy. I want to feel sad if you're feeling sad. That's a part of the performance experience. So yeah, look in the mirror while you're speaking or singing the words. Focus on your breathing. Again, when you get nervous, that interrupts our normal breathing pattern. So we have to make sure that we practice breathing so well that even if we get a little nervous, when our mind sends a signal to our body, like, okay, we're about to sing, your body says, got it. And then you don't have to worry about, I don't have any breath. Your body says, I got you, boo. I got you. So yes, you can focus on your breathing, speaking the words in rhythm. Maybe you just have a piece that's very, very rhythmic. It moves fast, or it has a lot of syncopation. You've got a lot of triplets. Speak that in the rhythm to make sure, no, I know what it is that I'm saying. I know how this song goes. And then last, you can work on walking in and introducing yourself to the faculty. You can start to say aloud your answers for the questions that we mentioned in the 2 slides before, when we were talking about the 5 questions that faculty are most likely going to ask you. And have a loved one, have your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, your auntie, your uncle, grandma, grandpa, have somebody ask you these questions, and make sure that it's someone who has your best interests at heart, of course, and is not afraid to give you constructive criticism. And I emphasize constructive because just saying, oh, that wasn't good, that is not constructive. Saying something, if you are doing a mock audition and someone says, hey, I don't think that was good because you had a lot of space in between your answers, or you just weren't in it emotionally. I think that you can give me a little bit more. That is constructive criticism. So you want to make sure that whoever you're doing this mock interview or audition with gives you that. All right. Now let's move on to the question that I know a lot of you have. What do you wear? So I've seen a wide variety of dress styles in auditions. Some I have agreed with and some I have not. But what I look for personally is the following. The grooming. When you step into the room, I want to know that you have brushed or combed your hair, you've washed your body, you've moisturized your body. If I think I can write my name in your ankle, you're not moisturized. Make sure that your teeth are brushed. Make sure that your clothes are ironed or steamed, because first impressions are important. Sometimes you are afforded the opportunity of a second impression, but more often than not, people will stick to that first impression. How did I see them first? And that is what is in my mind whenever I see them. So let's talk about clothes. For men, a clean white or black shirt and black pants is standard. Personally, I love color. I love a pop of something. So it helps me remember who you are, but it also tells me a little bit about your performance style. Black and white, to me, although professional, can sometimes get a little monotonous. So when you're auditioning, you want to be memorable. So for gentlemen, I think that wearing a solid colored top would be nice. Give me a little purple, give me a little blue. It can be pale or it can be more saturated. Or maybe you still want the white or black top, but you've got a colorful tie. I love that. For those who are a little bit fancier than others, if you've got a jacket, go ahead, put it on. That's up to you. And I know in the past, AMP vocal recitals, our young men, they are looking dapper. So what you're doing is good. You have good instincts. Keep those instincts. They will do you well. And as far as the shoe is concerned, I think an Oxford shoe is fine. Of course, your shoe should match what you're wearing. So if you've dressed up your jacket a little bit more, make sure your shoe matches. Maybe it needs to be a little patent leather. Maybe it needs to shine a little bit. But for sure, you should not be underdressed. So yes, the basics: clean, ironed, crisp, white or black shirt, black pants, and black Oxford shoes. And then for women, so the industry standard is a black ensemble. You have a black dress that hits at your knee or longer, a nice black top, black or white top, and a skirt or pants. There is a lot of conversation about whether to wear a skirt or pants, but I think that there's a lot of conversation about skirts or pants just because people want to see women in skirts and not pants. But as we are moving further into the 21st century, people's ideas are changing a lot more. So just be aware of the culture where you're going. So you can call the office of the music school or the music department that you are auditioning for and ask, do you prefer pants or skirt? The worst that can happen is that they don't answer you, but at least you called and you asked. But most people will, because they want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. So yes, that's the standard. But again, I love to see color. So if you look at the picture to the right of the screen, you see a variety of women's dress. You also see a variety of men's dress. So you see someone in black, you also see someone in blue, a navy blue. And then for women, for your dresses, you see some that have a cap sleeve, some that have a three finger strap. You see bright colors, bold colors, a cobalt blue, a red. You also see some dresses that have some patterns, and that is okay. I want to make sure though that you, whatever your color or pattern you're wearing, make sure that you, the singer, is the focus. So you don't want your outfit to be better than what you're presenting. You want to make sure that the focus is on you, who you are artistically, and more importantly, your face. So going back to good grooming, make sure that your face, not your face, make sure that your hair is out of your face. We want to see this working. And back to ladies, concerning shoes, I think that a flat is okay, but there are still two schools of thought on whether you should wear a flat shoe or whether you should wear a heel. Again, as we're moving into the 21st, further into the 21st century, the conversation is becoming more open to, oh, we're completely fine with flats. Again, call the school that you want to audition for and ask, do you prefer flats? Well, do you prefer heels, or is it okay that I wear flats? But if you decide to wear heels, two things: make sure that you are comfortable in them. And when I say comfortable, I mean, make sure that you can walk in them. I know that it is hard on the singer if this is your first time walking in heels for an audition. Don't do that. Practice in your heels as you sing. Two, make sure that these are shoes that are appropriate for an audition. So you don't want you know what? I am going to stunt on the people and I've got my 4-inch stilettos. No, that's not what your audition shoe should look like. I would say something around 2 inches. And depending on the style, like if it's a Mary Jane shoe, maybe 3. Me personally, I like wedges. For those who don't, I love heels too, but for those who don't really feel comfortable wearing, thinner heels, a wedge still gives you the elevation that the faculty is looking for, while also giving you support. So that is the best compromise. Then jewelry. Men and women alike, make sure that your jewelry does not steal the show from your performance. So like I'm wearing studs. I love to wear studs because it's just not in the way. It's there, and then you forget about it when I sing. But I would say if you have something that dangles, we don't want the big, hoops. I don't think that's appropriate for this. If you have a smaller hoop, that's okay. Men, we don't want your blinged out watch that every time you do something, the light catches it and it's like, flashing lights. Whew. You want to make sure that the focus is on your talent, not the things that you're wearing. What not to wear: jeans, t-shirts, your little Nike or Adidas slides, sneakers. This is a professional moment, so make sure you look the part. If you want the part, you got to look the part. All right. Now, let's move to audition day. Audition day for me is very, very important, and I have my own specific schedule, but the focus of that day is to remain calm and to remain centered. So in order to do that, I have to make sure the night before I get a good night's rest. And a part of that good night's rest is making sure that the day before, by about 5 or 6, I'm not doing any kind of unnecessary talking. You shouldn't be going to a theme park. You shouldn't be going to a concert where you're just like, ah! We don't want that. Oh, well, you don't want that for the next day. You want to make sure that your voice you're protecting your voice. You're loving your voice. So make sure that you're not doing excessive talking the night before, and then you get a good night's rest. When you wake up, stretch. You should be stretching anyway when you sing, before you sing or while you sing. I know sometimes I have my students, move their shoulders around, wiggle their heads just to loosen things up. But you want to make sure, because it's auditioning, there's high intensity in that. There's a lot of tension that can build in your body because you do care about the result. You want to make sure that you stretch away that tension as much as you can. I suggest that when you're warming up, you warm up about an hour and a half before your audition time. This allows you to really take your time and warm up well. As opposed to trying to rush it, like, let me see if I can make it happen. That's not what the goal of our audition day is. It's to take our time and to do the best that we can possibly do. So you need to be a little bit more prepared. Let's be proactive as opposed to reactive. After you finish warming up, then start your 2 pieces or sing through your pieces, but only do that once. And I say that because singing through your pieces multiple times can wear your voice down a little bit. It can take the shine off of your voice, that thing, that extra sparkle that you want to save for the actual audition. And sometimes, depending on how you handle nerves, if you hear something that you didn't like, you want to go back and fix it, and you become fixated, and then you overuse it, and then you've allowed your nerves to take control, and we don't need that. So mistakes or no mistakes, just sing through it once and say, okay, it is what it is. Let me just recenter myself. You can speak through your piece or audiate. And when I say audiate, I mean sing it in your head. So you're not physically singing, but you're imagining yourself singing the song. And I do that all the time before a big performance so that I don't overuse my voice. And you want to make sure that you arrive about 30 minutes early. I say this because if the auditions are, well, and usually the schools will recommend the same thing, but if the auditions are moving a little bit faster, you're right there. And then the faculty knows, oh, this person is prepared. Okay. And it looks more favorable for you. So yeah, come about 30 minutes earlier. But it also allows you to get centered so that you can be close to the space that you're going to be auditioning in. And all right, breathe. Find a quiet space or a quieter space to center. So that's just reiterating what I said, but it is important that you focus on you. For conservatories and schools of music, quite often you will have a lot of people who are, they're warming up while you're warming up. And you may hear some beautiful voices, but in passing, focus on you. We're not worried about what the beautiful voice or anybody else is doing. You have a goal, and your goal is to show us who you are. So focus on that. And then envision yourself nailing the audition. Imagination is a key component to singing. So use it for your benefit. See yourself in front of the faculty, wowing them, saying, yes, we want you to come to our school. And here, we've got scholarship money for you. Envision the positivity that you want. That is very, very important. And remember, you are the only person that can offer what you have to offer, because there is only one you. So know it, own it, love it, and then knock it out of the park. All right. Now, moving to the next slide. As I said before, sometimes we make mistakes. So you made a mistake in an audition. How do you continue? I suggest that you keep moving, that you push through it. So when we talked about practicing, continuing through our mistakes, this is where that comes in handy, because recovery is important. We want to know that if you're on stage, you're not going to freeze, that you're going to keep that show moving, and you're going to do it with grace. So I like when someone makes a mistake, in an audition, I'm looking to see how they recover, because that tells me how they work under pressure. Because singing live, there is a certain amount of pressure to it. Granted, there are some times that you will have to start over. That doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have a shot at getting that scholarship or getting into that department, that you won't be accepted. But we try to push through as much as we possibly can. If you do feel like, you know what, I need to start over, just ask the faculty, say, please, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think that I need to start over. Is it okay if I start over? And if the faculty says, yes, you can go ahead and start over, take a breath, or take 2 or 3, recenter yourself, say, you got this. So you made a mistake, but you got this next time. And believe it. Don't just say it just like, yeah, yes, I've got this. I can do it. This is going to be better next time. Pump yourself up. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then we don't believe you either. So yes, say it, believe it, and then perform that song. Perform it better than you've ever performed it before. So that's what I would say about mistakes. And last, before we have the Q&A part, what can you do during your senior year in high school to prepare? Well, first, use all that AMP has to offer. So that includes sight singing classes, which we've discussed before. AMP Academy, if you've auditioned and gotten in, make sure that you are doing what it is that you're supposed to do. Take the theory classes and audition for solos in choir. Even though it's a smaller audition and there's usually 1 or 2 maybe people that are judging your audition, it's still an audition. So having as much experience auditioning, even on a smaller scale, prepares you for the larger scale. Second, emote, emote, emote. I cannot stress it enough. Expression is a crucial part of what we do as vocal musicians. And it can be the difference between you getting in or not getting in. And it's definitely been the difference between people getting scholarships or not getting scholarships. So use that face, be in the mirror. The mirror is your best friend. It's just you. So you might as well be your own best friend. And last, in academy, let your voice teacher know that you're interested in going to school for music and ask them if they have any suggestions for good schools, or if you've already been looking, let them know what schools you've been looking at, because you never know who your AMP teacher may know. Maybe they went to that school and still have a contact. Maybe the person that's on faculty at the school you want to go to, maybe they used to go to school together, and so you have access to more access to the real experience that a student can have. They can give you great insight as to what it's like being a student at that institution. You may get a different kind of school tour, and you may be informed about different kind of scholarship opportunities, because they want to make sure that you're aware that these are possibilities. So make sure you tell your academy teacher. They really are your best resource in the audition process. All right. And that is all I have to say for right now. And I guess we can just go ahead and get to the Q&A.
Hi, Miss Hanan.
Hi. All right.
I have a question. So, I know some schools, they actually let you do recorded auditions, like if you're further away from their campus, or some schools also have pre-screening auditions. So, can you give us a little bit more information about that?
Yes, I can. So I mentioned it in passing when I talked about conservatories and schools of music and music departments. But for largely for conservatories and schools of music, because their program is a little bit more competitive, they have what's called a pre-screening. So you will send in a video of you performing your two audition pieces. It usually in December or January. And by the middle or end of January, you'll find out whether or not you've been invited for a live audition. You want to get that live audition because they're weeding through who they think would be a best fit for their program, or not. And those who they think are going to be a best fit for their program, they will invite to do a live audition so that they can see, hey, is what we saw on the video real? Can they handle their own when they're in front of a live audience? So that's what a pre-screening is. Some music departments don't require that. They just have audition dates set either in the spring, before you come in the fall, or before school starts in the fall. Yeah, and you will, of course, look on their website or any information that they have. They've sent you via mail, and make sure that you meet those requirements.
Hey, you have any other questions, Miss Brianna?
Yes. Another one is, I know in at least in some of my auditions that I had when I was applying for school, they asked me about theory, and I know a few of our students are actually taking our theory classes. But what's the best way to like brush up on your theory, just in case they do ask you a theory question in the audition?
Oh, well, The way that I brushed up on my theory, I went over notes that I had taken in class, or in my piano lessons of vocal lessons. So at AMP, I know that people get a certain amount of theory, not just from the theory classes, but in their private lessons. So make sure you take great notes when your teacher is saying, okay, do you remember how to tell what key signature you're in? Make sure you write that down and don't just rely on, oh, wait, I think I remember that one time you said it, but I can't remember how we got there. No, write it down, study it. There are online tools that you can use. There are two apps that I've been pushing this past month to my students, which is Ella, which is only available for iPhone. So, but if you have an iPhone, great. But also Arpeggio, because it tests basic theory knowledge. It talks about intervals. It talks about different kinds of chords. Make sure you practice your solfege. For the undergrad audition, for the most part, it'll be like key signatures, like do you know what key you're in? Maybe you'll have a circle of fifths question, and you'll have some rhythm and then sight singing. So use what AMP has to offer. I cannot stress that enough. They're preparing you to nail these auditions. So use that and make sure that you study what you've learned at AMP on your own at home.
Thanks for those questions, Miss Brianna. Miss Hanan, we have one more question from the audience. You mentioned performing, doing practice auditions in front of a group of friends before you do the real thing. How many times should you do that? Once, 5, 10?
I don't think 10. I think that would be excessive. I think anywhere between 2 and 4, depending on the group that you have gathered together. So if it's solely friends, then I say about 2 different times, because it is important to share with your peers. In college, quite often there are classes where you're performing. Like the point of the class is to perform for your peers, and for your peers to give you constructive criticism or to support what it is that you're doing and lift you up. Yeah. So that's important. But practicing with your teacher and practicing with other teaching artists, I think that would be a little bit more important than your friends. So do that. Well, of course, you're practicing with your voice teacher once every week. So keep doing that. And the closer you get to the audition, you may want to see your teacher maybe twice, maybe twice a week. And I stress the maybe, because usually once is enough. But if you've got family, well, sometimes they just hear you anyway. And just, your family loves you, and they have a wonderful way of letting you know what, I don't think you sang that note right. You sang it better last time. And say, okay, well, let me see if I can try to, remember how I did it last time, or do it better than you did it that time, so that it becomes having this ongoing conversation of constructive criticism becomes normal in your household.
Very insightful. We're going to get ready to close this out. I have one more question from the audience. Can we, the AMP students, book a room at the AMP Center to practice our audition for our friends? And the answer is yes. We do have a system that students can, of course, use the practice rooms. You know that. But if you want to actually hold a mock audition session at the AMP Center, we can make arrangements for you to do that, because as Ms. Hanan has stated, everything about the audition is important. It's not just singing well, but there are a lot of things that go into nailing an audition. And Ms. Hanan, you did a fantastic job of breaking that down for us today. This is very valuable info. We will make sure to have this information available to share with each of you that joined us today, and take it, study it, and pull it out when you need it, as you go from audition to audition. You all have a great background from being in AMP, those that are watching that are in AMP. And we just wish you all the best in all of your musical endeavors. Miss Brianna, thank you for your assistance today. Miss Hanan, thank you for your expertise. We greatly appreciate you. And to everyone watching, I want to thank you for joining, and we're actually going to get ready for our 5 p.m. session, which is a very similar session for instrumentalists, for in the orchestra, and it'll be taught by our own Jonathan Colbert. I cannot wait. Now, if you learned anything today, I know you, like me, would like to see it in action. So tomorrow, meet me here, 4 p.m., and what we're going to do is we're going to hold a mock audition, and you'll be the judge, okay? So you take your notes from Ms. Hanan today, and you see, did this person implement all these things, and what can we do to make this audition better? Because it's not to throw stones at anyone, but of course we're all here learning. So that's tomorrow. And then one very important thing is 12 p.m. tomorrow, we have a senior send-off. We have 8 graduating seniors here at the Atlanta Music Project. They've worked hard, and yes, life has interrupted their celebrations, but we are definitely going to honor them anyway. So please meet us at 12 p.m. on Zoom to celebrate our seniors. 3 p.m. tomorrow, we have a session on nailing your college interview. Okay, so lots of great stuff happening tomorrow, and I hope to see you all there. This symposium is mainly for you all, our AMP students, because we just want you to shine, and we know that you can soar in your college years, and we want to give you all the tools to do so. So tomorrow, well, right now we have a class with the orchestra students. Tomorrow at 12, senior send-off. Tomorrow at 3, interview skills. Please tune in. Thank you. Just because you're charming doesn't mean you have interview skills on lock. Tomorrow at 4, voice masterclass with Damian Sneed from Manhattan School of Music. Tomorrow at 5, violin masterclass with Helen Kim from Kennesaw State. Great job, everyone. We appreciate you. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.